Look at that dented toy, Admiral Keshare of the Varnak Imperium snorted, his mandibles clicking in amusement. Did the humans win a junkyard auction? Or did they build it from discarded scrap? Across the polished, obsidian bridge of the Varnak flagship, the indomitable Will, a chorus of derisive laughter erupted from his officers. They watched the lone human vessel on the main screen, a relic floating amidst their armada of gleaming predators. The laughter caught in their throats as the threat board, silent moments before, screamed a piercing alert. A cascade of red icons bloomed across the tactical display. That little toy hadn't just targeted them. It had painted every single capital ship in their combined fleets with a weapons-grade lock older and more stable than their oldest star chart. For 3 full cycles, the combined fleets of the Varnak Imperium, the Sci-Fi Ascendancy, and the Core Directorate had paraded around the lone Terran corvette, the Heritage. It was a grand display of power, a political maneuver intended to remind the junior members of the Galactic Council of their place. Each empire was eager to flex its fresh chrome hulls, its quantum lances humming with barely contained energy, its shield emitters glowing with arrogant pride. From their panoramic viewports, the Heritage looked utterly pathetic. Its armor was a patchwork of mismatched plates, some bearing the distinct scorch marks of ancient ion impacts. The plating was scarred and pitted, telling a story of countless battles its current audience couldn't even fathom. Its running lights, instead of shining with a crisp, modern luminescence, flickered like dying candles in a forgotten tomb. On the comms, the multi-species heckling was relentless. "I've seen better plating on a cargo hauler's refuse bin," sneered a Sci-Fi subcommander. "Do you think if we offer them a tow, they'll give us their ship as payment?" A corps captain broadcasted on the open channel. On the bridge of the Heritage, Captain Elena Ruiz met their taunts with a profound and unnerving silence. Her crew followed her lead, their professionalism a stark contrast to the chaotic mockery flooding the comms. She let the taunts swell, let the admirals preen and posture. Every second they spent gawking at her ship's weathered exterior was a second they weren't paying attention to what truly mattered. The quiet, deep thrum that had begun under the deck plates the very moment they crossed the system's heliopause. It wasn't the rattling of old machinery. It was the steady, patient heartbeat of a slumbering giant. Then the universe decided to remind them all what real power looked like. The anomaly hit without warning. A roaming void rift, a tear in the fabric of spacetime, the kind of cosmic horror that swats dreadnoughts like gnats, ripped itself into existence 500,000 kilometers off the parade route. It was a vortex of non-reality, a swirling chaos of colors that hurt the eye and warped the senses. The state-of-the-art shields of the closest ships, rated to withstand a supernova, folded in milliseconds. They didn't just fail, they were unwritten from reality. 3 Sci-Fi cruisers, gleaming vessels crewed by thousands, simply weren't there anymore. Not debris, not wreckage, just empty space where they had been moments before. The Alliance Armada, a moment ago an instrument of intimidation, scattered like prey. Panic flooded the comms, the earlier arrogance replaced by shrieks of terror. Every toy they had was thrown at the rift. Graviton nets designed to hold black holes fizzled out hundreds of kilometers from its edge. Singularity lances, weapons that fired miniature black holes, were swallowed without a ripple. A cloud of self-replicating nanoswarms, capable of devouring a planet, was erased in a blink. Nothing slowed it. Admiral Keshare, his voice now a strained bark, ordered a coordinated emergency warp jump. But his navigators screamed back that it was impossible. The rift's gravity shear was so violent, so unpredictable, that any attempt to calculate a jump vector would be suicidal, tearing their ships apart from the inside out. They were trapped, and in that moment of absolute primal fear, every gun, every sensor lens, and every terrified eye turned toward the human relic, which hadn't moved an inch. It remained perfectly centered, a tiny island of calm in a sea of utter chaos. Inside the Heritage, the standard operational lights dimmed, shifting to a bloody, primordial red. The air grew cold. Captain Ruiz stood before a recessed panel on the command dais, a panel sealed under 1,000 years of hardened, ceremonial varnish. Her face was a mask of ancient resolve, her eyes reflecting the crimson glow. She placed her hand on the seal, which cracked and flaked away to dust. "Authorization. Custodian 1, she stated, her voice steady and clear, cutting through the palpable tension on the bridge. "Code, Alpha 001. The deck vibrated then, not with the shudder of age, but with a profound, resonant awakening. It was the sound of a purpose being remembered. All around the ship, hidden plates and seemingly decorative panels slid aside with a low, pressurized hiss. They revealed intricate lattice circuits that pulsed with a soft, golden light, their design older and more complex than anything in the known galactic archives, predating even Earth's first lunar colony. From a hidden speaker, a drone voice, cold, ancient, and utterly devoid of emotion, spoke in a language no alien present would recognize, pre-imperial Latin. Codex Ethicus Resurretus Est, Ethics Core unlocked. Licentia Letalis Concessa. Lethal release permitted. Outside, the void rift pulsed violently, gathering energy to expand and consume everything in the system. The Heritage answered. It wasn't a barrage of missiles or a blinding energy beam. It was a single weapon, deployed from a nearly invisible emitter on the ship's prow. A filament of pure, silver light, no thicker than a pencil. It extended silently, instantly, across the void, touched the edge of the rift, and the anomaly, the space-time cataclysm that had defied an entire armada, simply unraveled. There was no explosion, no brilliant flash, no concussive aftershock. It came apart like a tapestry with a single thread pulled, its chaotic energies neutralizing, its impossible geometry folding back into normal space. One moment, devastation loomed. The next, there was only the calm, silent starfield. Every allied channel, which moments before had been a cacophony of panic, went utterly dead. The silence was deafening, heavier and more terrifying than the rift itself. On the bridge of the indomitable will, junior officers who had been laughing at the humans now clutched their armrests like terrified children, their faces frozen in disbelief. The chief tactical officer stared at his console, whispering, "It's gone. It's just gone." Scans pinged back results that the admirals refused at first to believe. The energy signature from the filament weapon was impossible. The ship's core reactor was unreadable, a ghost in their sensors. But the temporal signature of the hull itself was undeniable, a verified age of 1024 standard years. It was a number that broke their understanding of history. This ship predated their own archives of first contact with a dozen species. Admiral Kesharay, his proud face now pale and slack-jawed, ordered the comms officer to open a private, encrypted channel to the Heritage. His voice, when he finally spoke, was a cracked whisper. "Captain Ruiz, by the stars, what are you?" Captain Elena Ruiz, unruffled and calm as still water, leaned slightly toward her comms pickup. Her voice was quiet, yet it carried the weight of a millennium. "We're the reason your grandparents survived the Great Filter long enough to build those fancy hulls, Admiral," she replied, her tone firm but not unkind. "Humanity was the first. We faced these horrors when your species was still discovering fire. We built ships to guard the nursery. We're still here. Remember that." Within a single cycle, an emergency session of the Galactic Council was convened. The primary topic on the agenda wasn't the Void Rift or the miraculous survival of the combined fleets. No, it was a frantic, galaxy-wide reevaluation of humanity's status. In a single, breathtaking heartbeat, they were elevated. The formal proposal, submitted by a humbled Admiral Kesharay himself, saw humanity's designation changed from junior member to custodian-class senior steward. The motion passed unanimously. Delegates who once openly joked about backwater primates and their quaint technologies now queued for hours outside the Heritage docking tube. They came not with demands, but with requests for cultural exchange, for historical consultation, for an audience with the woman who commanded a ghost from a forgotten age. The ship itself? Its hidden weapon ports slid shut. Its ancient circuits returned to slumber. It powered down, its lights once more flickering gently, its armor still dented and scarred. It looked, again, like a relic, because true strength, as Captain Ruiz later told the humbled council in a quiet address, isn't about flashy displays of power or gleaming new hulls. It's about deep reserves of wisdom and knowing precisely when to speak, and, more crucially, when to remain silent and simply watch. Enjoy watching hubris get a much-needed reality check? Do us a favor and smash that like button. It tells the algorithm you appreciate stories where humanity keeps its best cards tucked away behind a calm, knowing smile, and it ensures we can bring more of them to you. Across the galaxy, the story began to spread, not through official reports, but through whispers in the dark corners of spacer bars and freighter cantinas. They say the heritage is only one of 7 legendary custodian hulls still drifting amongst the stars, each a silent sentinel disguised as a forgotten freighter, a long-range explorer, or a piece of orbital junk. They give them names from old Terran myths: Aegis, Vigilance, Memory. Each one is patiently waiting, guarding a sector of space, crewed by the descendants of the first Guardians. They watch for the day some arrogant, youthful species forgets the most important lesson in the galaxy: that age and profound wisdom will always, eventually, beat fleeting youth and blustering arrogance. So, the next time you see a beat-up human hull, maybe lagging a little behind the parade line or docked in a forgotten corner of a starbase, remember the heritage. Remember that rust and scars can hide an alloy forged before your own world knew steel. A quiet demeanor can hide a strength that can unravel reality itself. Drop a comment below and tell us which classic underestimated powerhouse from science fiction we should narrate next. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more incredible humanity, HFY tales, and please, share this story with anyone who needs a little reminder that the quiet old-timer in the room just might be the deadliest one there.